Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to Partnerships for Profit. I'm joined today by Brooke Lively. Brooke is the founder and CEO of CathCap. CathCap is a fractional CFO service and would love to hear a lot more about what y'all do there. She is also an expert EOS implementer, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about that, Brooke.
Awesome. What are your questions? What do you want to know?
Man, a lot, honestly. We at Duke Entertainment, we love EOS, and it's really helped us out a lot. I'm going through traction in it now, so I'm enjoying learning that. I'm going through Rocket Fuel because I'm more operationally focused, and so I want to help out on that front too. So it's going to be good that we're going to be speaking the same language. Seems to be a little bit of a delay here. Oh,
yeah, I'd love to tell you how I got in. Whoops. Sorry.
That's all right.
Did I lose you for a second?
We're just delayed now, which is all right.
All right. Well, what I'd love to tell you is how I got into EOS, because it's kind of a fascinating story. We used EOS internally and have for years, but we're numbers girls. And so we were looking at our clients, and we really specialize in law firms. That is our bread and butter. 80% of our clients are law firms. We started in the legal industry and have expanded, but we looked at our firms and we kind of divided them into three buckets. We had the bucket that started working with us and their results were just high and to the right. They were doing really well. We had a bucket of clients that were making steady progress. And then we had this other bucket that they didn't seem to be making any progress at all. And we were like, what are we doing with group A that we're not doing with group C? And we were really concerned about that. So we went in, we did a lot of research, a lot of data, and we found out we were doing the same things with A as we were with C. We were giving everybody the same advice, the same tools. The difference was that group A was executing and group C was not. And we're like, okay, well, that's interesting. And so we dug down some more. And what we discovered was, with the exception of one firm, every single law firm that was executing, all of those firms that had the results that were high and to the right, they were all running on EOS.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So EOS became our number one outgoing referral.
Okay. That's great. Tell me more. Tell me more about, like, for those firms that really did dig into EOS. Like, what was that aha moment for them? Like, what was that trigger for them to just explode in their operational efficiency and, like, getting organized? Tell me more about that for those firms you saw.
I think it's really the focus and the accountability. It's a whole lot of things, but let's just start there. I think that when a big thing in EOS is our vision. Where are we going? And then how are we going to get there? What are we going to accomplish this year? And what are we going to do in the next 90 days to make sure we complete our year? And those 90-day projects are called rocks. And when you say yes to these rocks, you're saying no to everything else. And that is an immense amount of discipline.
Yeah.
And when you start saying yes to the most important things and you start saying no to all those daily things that kind of crop up, all of a sudden you start to make an immense amount of progress. And the other thing is you're creating a lot of accountability everywhere in the firm. So you've got not only is the leadership team, not only do they have rocks, not only are they being held accountable, but everybody in the firm has rocks. Everybody is being held accountable. Everybody has a weekly activity-based number that they are responsible for hitting. And when everybody is really contributing, when everybody knows what they should be doing for the greater good of the firm, you just make a lot of progress.
What's it like for firms that aren't doing either of those things, or maybe one instead of the other? Maybe there is high accountability with tasks, for example, but they haven't really honed in on what are the key measurements. How is that hurting those firms or businesses in general that are not focusing on either, or maybe just one or the other?
So if you're focusing on tasks, what generally I've seen is that you don't have a vision and you don't know where the firm is going. And it tends to be, well, your people end up not having much autonomy because you, as their leader, as their manager, are telling them exactly what to do every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you're stinking exhausted.
Yeah.
And what you tell people is you can't hire anybody that's any good because they won't think for themselves, which is 100% absolutely true because you haven't told them where they're going. So without a map, how are they supposed to drive from here to Toledo? You haven't told them they're going to Toledo. All you're doing is sitting in the passenger seat going, you need to take a right at the next street. So that's really hard for them. It's really hard for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got to create that. We've got to create that map. We have to give them goals. We have to say, for you to get to Toledo on time, you need to maintain an average speed of 55 miles an hour. And
that is the role of the organization head, the visionary, right? To set that vision, like right person, right seat type conversation. The role for EOS, the role of the visionary is to set vision. And just like you said, like it's not sitting in the passenger seat with the person, your employee, and saying, make a right here, make a left here, make a right here, make another right here. Like you make the map and trust the team members that you bring on to actually follow through with the vision that you set, the map that you made for them.
I'm with yes and on that answer. And I'm going to say it's a little bit like trust and verify. So yes, you're going to give them the map. You're going to tell them where they need to go, but you're also going to check back in. And that's where that accountability comes in. Are you maintaining 55 miles an hour? Are you hitting all the milestones between here and Toledo that you're supposed to be hitting? And are you hitting them on time? Mm-hmm. And a lot of it has to do with, do you have the right people in the right seats? And when we talk about right people, right seats, that's a Jim Collins thing. And when we break that down into the two parts, right people is, do we have people that are the right fit for the culture of our firm? Do they share our core values? And will they live and breathe and fit in? Do we like working with them? There is nothing worse. So I ran my family's law firm at one point, and I was coming into the office one day. My father was going to court, and he said, every time I walk into the office and I know that I have to see, can't remember what her name was, we'll call her Mary, the paralegal. He's like, I just dread that I'm going to have to say good morning to her.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, she's gone. Now, I knew that she wasn't a core value match. I had been building, my case to terminate her. You should never dread anybody in your office. You should walk into your office every day happy to see all the people that are in there, because they should be a culture match. You should enjoy working with the people you work with. So are they a core value match? Are they the right people? And then the right seat is, in EOS, we talk about GWC. Do they get the job? Do they understand what it entails? Do they want the job? And, a lot of times we put people in jobs they don't want, especially if our firm is growing really quickly. And we tend to reward those people that have been with us. Firm's growing, I want you to grow, so I'm going to keep promoting you. And that person has been with you since the beginning, and they love you, and they want to support the firm, and they will do anything that you ask of them. And so they're going to take that job, even though they know that they can't really do it. And you're rewarding them, even though you're not sure they can really do it. So you've got a person in a job that they don't want. So it really does happen. And then, do they have the capacity to do it? Do they have the skill set? So if the answer to all three of those, to the GWC, to the get it, want it, have the capacity to do it, if that's not a hell yes, it's a hell no, and they've got to go.
Do they get the job? Do they want the job? And then do they have the capacity for the job?
Do they have the skill set?
Yeah.
And if they don't have the skill set, there's some people that you can train. And there's some people you just can't. And acknowledge that. And if it's someone that needs training, do you have the bandwidth to train them? So I was working with a client, and she had this young attorney. She was just finishing up her first year as an attorney. And my client was complaining that, she wasn't developing as fast as she wanted her to. And I'm like, well, how much time are you spending training her? She's like, I don't have time to train her. I'm like, okay, so she's just supposed to figure this out on her own, like osmosis, how is this supposed to happen? I'm like, tell me about when you started as an attorney. And she's like, oh yeah, I had this mentor, and they trained, and they would redline things and bring it back and explain. I'm like, you doing that? She's like, no. I said, you are doing that young attorney a real disservice, because she's going to stay with you for 2 or 3 years. And then you're going to get really frustrated, and you're going to fire her. And she's going to get hired somewhere else as a 3-year attorney. And she's going to have a first-year attorney skill set. And they're going to get frustrated with her after a couple of years. So they're going to fire her in her 5th year. She's going to have a 2nd or 3rd year skill set. She's going to go to another firm. She's going to keep falling further and further behind. I'm like, you're screwing her entire career.
Wow.
Because you don't have the time to give to training.
I hadn't thought about that. I really love that mentality of thinking long term about your who you are stewarding right now, and how you're stewarding them impacts not just right now at you, but it has long reaching effects for that person for years to come.
It's we all want the best for our team. And she was standing in the way of that person's growth. I'm like, she needs to be off your team in 3 months. You need to go find her a new job. And she did. She went and found her a job at a at a firm that had the bandwidth to train her because she had the makings of a great attorney. She just needed a mentor. The other problem is, so here we had an attorney. She was the right person. She was a core value match. She was a culture match, but she didn't GWC the job. She didn't have the skill set. That firm didn't have the time to train her. So she became extraordinarily unprofitable because they would assign work to her. She would do it. It would then go to another attorney to be checked. It would be wrong. That second attorney would do the work from the beginning because it was so wrong. So the work, we were paying to do the work twice.
Yeah.
And in most firms, so as a CFO, I recommend that most firms run on the rule of thirds. And this is just kind of where we start. 1/3 of revenue goes to the people doing the work. 1/3 of revenue goes to overhead, and 1/3 of revenue should go to profit. Now, if you are doing the work twice, that means that 1/3 of revenue is paying to do the work the first time. 1/3 of revenue is going to do the work the second time. We still have to pay the overhead. Who's getting screwed in this equation? It's the owner. There's no profit left.
Right.
So having somebody in the wrong seat, you not having the bandwidth to train somebody, is costing you all your profit.
Yeah. Again, I love the long-term thinking about, it's not short-term thinking about, hey, I just don't have the bandwidth for this, thinking that it's a short-term problem. It is a long-term problem that needs to be addressed now.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. You've mentioned core values as like kind of and even the GWC, right? Like as those like maybe two pillars of wrong person, wrong seat, right? Like if it's one or the other, you need to address this. Are there any other like giveaways for like wrong person, wrong seat within an organization?
Yeah. So think about like a 2x2 grid. And if we've got core values on the vertical and we've got GWC on the horizontal, there are people in this world that are not a core value match, but they're really, really good at their job. Well, let me go back. There are people who are a core value match and they're awesome at their job. And we can all identify these people. They're so easy to see. And we call them a star. Right? There are A+ people.
Yeah.
There are people who are bad at their job and they're not a core value match. Also really easy to identify. They are the absolute opposite of a star. And so we say they're star spelled backwards. They're rats. Literally star spelled backwards. The people who are a core value match, but aren't very good at their job. So they don't have the C. Those are the people we just discussed. So can we train them? Do we have the bandwidth to train them and train them over to be a star? Do they have the capacity and the skill set to be trained? We call those people puppies. So you have to make the decision. Can they be trained and do we have the ability to train them? If we don't, we got to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Right? We're not doing them a favor. We're not doing us a favor. Then there's that bottom quadrant. The people who are not a core value match, but who are really productive. And these people show up in your firm as generally like your top billers, like hideously productive, or the people that bring in a lot of clients. And again, you don't want to say hi to them when you walk in the morning.
Yeah.
Or you don't want them talking to anybody else on your team.
Mm.
And so you start making exceptions for them.
Mm.
They complain about doing stuff. I don't want to do that part of my job. You're like, okay. Like, I can't lose you.
Because of
you make too much money
profitability.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hire somebody else to do that part of your job. And I'm going to kind of section you off over here.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe everybody has to come into the office 3 days a week, but you tell them they don't have to come into the office at all. Oh, you can work from home all the time. And you're like, oh, thank God. Because they'll stay away from everybody else. Right. And you start making all these exceptions for them.
And paying 2 people for one person's job.
And paying 2 people for one person's job. Here's the problem. First of all, they are just as productive as your stars who are a core value match. And I'm sorry to tell you, your employees are just like toddlers. All attention is attention. They don't see the difference between good attention and bad attention. And you're giving all your attention to these people in that bottom quadrant that we call terrorists. And we call them terrorists because they're holding you hostage, right?
I was looking for the backward spelling of puppy and I wasn't figuring it out. So that
Yeah,
makes
no, I wish I had that. I don't, but we call them terrorists because they're holding you hostage.
Yeah.
Give me this or I will leave.
Yeah.
Right. So you're giving all your time to the terrorists. You're giving all the special perks to the terrorist. And your stars are sitting there going, wait a minute. I'm doing just as much work that is just as good. And I'm doing my entire job. And I'm doing everything they ask. And I'm a core value match.
Yeah.
And I'm getting buckets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting any special dispensation. And I'm not getting any attention.
Yeah.
Oh, bye.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave or someone will pay attention to me.
Yeah.
The other problem is that puppies are very susceptible to being recruited.
Learning bad behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for a terrorist to pull that puppy down into the bottom half of that grid. Terrorists are like, I had a terrorist on my team at one point, and I said, she's like a bee pollinating ill will. She just goes from person to person to person, pollinating ill will. We got to get rid of those people. And you are so slow to do it because they're so productive and you're so afraid to do it. But I promise you, is the best thing you can do for your firm. 2 things happen when you do it. First of all, overall production goes up. This is totally counterintuitive because you had just fired one of your most productive people. But it happens for 2 reasons. One, it happens because they're no longer a distraction. They have gone from people talking about them and worrying about them and dealing with them to being gone. And all that time's freed up. And now, shockingly, they're spending that time billing or working or whatever it is they're supposed to be doing. The second thing is those people are so thrilled that they're gone that they are absolutely willing to pitch in extra and do that person's job because they're gone and they don't have to do it. The second thing that happens is people start coming into your office and again saying one of 2 things. They say, thank you. Generally followed up by, what the hell took you so long?
Yeah.
So you got to get rid of the terrorists because they just cost you in all areas of your firm. They're so damaging.
Yeah. Man. Core values being core, obviously. and why that's so important and how it's so impactful as being a very key measure of the team dynamic and what's going on there.
Yeah, you are never going to grow and you're never going to be really profitable until you fix your team, until you have the right people in the right seats. Because that, if you look at your P&L, the place where you spend more money than anywhere else is on your people. So you got to fix that.
Going back to key measurements and accountability, let's say the organization does like take care of the bad apples first and does that. Where do organizations, law firms, where do they go next? Again, with accountability and key metrics in mind. I know that key metrics are going to depend on department and individuals. Accountability is probably going to be across the board pretty similar. But what would be that next step?
So you're absolutely right. Key metrics depend upon the individual job. However, all key metrics are weekly numbers and they are activity based. And you are absolutely right. Every single person in the firm has a metric. Whether it's the person answering the phone, and for them, it may be percentage of calls answered within 2 rings. Whether it is an attorney. So for an attorney, if it's an hourly firm, it may be hours billed. If it is a flat fee firm, it may be projects completed. If it's a contingency firm, we usually say it's time on desk. So every case should be in each stage for a particular amount of time. Are 80% of your cases within that time frame? The second part of it is someone actually holding them accountable every week? Is someone sitting down and saying, you are on track or you are off track? I have had so many conversations with attorneys. You know, they'll call CathCap. They'll say, my firm's not profitable. I need a CFO. How do I fix this? And we'll ask some questions. And one of the ones I'll ask is, you know, do you have, you know, billing goals? Do you have a metric for everybody in your firm? Oh yeah, I've got them. Okay. What's your goal? Well, I'm a contingency firm and my attorneys have to settle, and I'm totally making this up, $10,000 a week. I'm like, okay, great. Are they doing that? Well, I've got one attorney that's hit that goal once this year. Okay, so what's happened? What are the consequences? Oh, well, I haven't done anything. Okay, we got 2 problems here. First of all, you have taught them that there is no consequence to not hitting their goal. So who's going to care if they have to hit no one's going to care about hitting their goal. The second thing is you picked a goal at the very end of the stage. Like that is the final, that is the final measurement. And when we talk about measurements, we want to look at leading indicators and lagging indicators. So if you think about everything that goes through to get a contingency case done, the final step is actually, well, it's not settling the case. It's actually, you know, getting the check in and dispersing the money. But that is the last point. Settlement is the last point you can affect the value of the case. Why are we going to wait until then to figure out if the case is on track or off track?
Right.
We need to go back in time. We need to figure out much earlier where we can still impact it and fix it.
Follow the chain of cause and effect backwards. Like what causes what, and get as early as you can and have that as the key measurement.
Exactly. That's why we use time on desk. We know that the faster you can move a contingency case through the system, the more valuable it is.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, the more money you will collect, the more pressure we can put on the insurance companies, the faster we can move it, the higher the settlement value.
Mm.
So if we are continually looking at time on desk, if we are ensuring that cases are moving from stage to stage to stage within a parameter, and we are continually as a firm lowering those parameters, shortening the amount of time, then that is very much a leading indicator. And we are continually putting that pressure on the insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
So we are continually pushing up the value of those cases.
Mm. Yeah.
And we're doing it at the beginning. We're not saying after signing the settlement papers.
Yeah, where we can actually affect change. What was I going to say? You were the first point you were making there before leading and lagging indicators. It just reminded
Holding them
me.
accountable.
Yeah, holding them accountable. It's like, going right back to the whole toddler metaphor. It's like, okay, the workers for better or worse are like toddlers, and so for better or worse, we have to kind of act accordingly. Act as teachers.
And it's funny because a lot of people say, I don't want to babysit my employees and I don't want to treat them like children. And that is horrible and that's embarrassing and we shouldn't do that. And I'm going to counter with, if we have truly accountable people in the firm, they want that measurement because they want to come show you how well they've done.
That's such a good point. Yeah.
They want to show you that they got an A on their paper.
Yep.
You said I had to do this. Yeah. You said I had to keep my cases. I had to keep 80% of my cases on track. I'm at 92. Look at me. Where's my gold star? 92. Oh, wait a minute. He's at 95. I'm going to be at 96 next week. I'm going to get it done. These are the people you want on your team.
Yeah.
So accountability is a way for them to illustrate to you how they're doing. It's a way for them to brag and show off in a healthy way.
With the measurements being like, hey, like this is my expectation. Like I want you as my I have a 3-year-old son, so like I'm getting to that stage, and so like this is where I want because like I want good things for you, and so like this is the measure of success, and so key metrics being that, and then the accountability of like how is that going? It's like I got a A+. I think that's such a good metaphor. I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, wrapping up here. We talked a ton about EOS. Didn't get too much into the CFO side of what CathCap does.
You actually got more CFO than you realized.
Oh, okay, great.
Look, as a CFO, we talk about and we look at every part of a firm that touches the money.
Mm.
So, we look at things like time on desk. We look at things like, do you have the right people? Because those things cost you money.
Mm-hmm.
And while as a CFO, we may not be able to fix everything, we are great at identifying it and saying, this is the right person to go fix that. Go talk to your marketing person because this is where your marketing is broken.
Yeah. That's awesome. Other than our listeners going to cathcap.com, where else can viewers find more information about what you do and how you serve?
I think that's really the best place to find us. is our website. We're always there. We're on social media also, but yeah, cathcap.com.
Man, this was a pleasure. I really had fun chatting with you about these things. And again, speaking the same language is always, it's a pleasure. So Brooke, again, thank you. And for our listeners, Partnerships for Profit was produced by LeDuc Entertainment. For any of your video production needs, specifically podcasting, we're your team. Until next time, we'll talk later. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.